Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Nerditorium Live with me Tejas, Ruchi on my right and below, Dinkar. How's it going, you guys?
Spectacularly.
Great.
Great intro. We went a little late today. It's 9:15, but that's fine. We're here to talk
But I
about.
noticed you scheduled it for 9:15, and then we came on at
No,
9:40.
I did it at nine o'clock or 9:05, and then I sneakily just pushed it because I knew you weren't ready. So, but it's fine. Because it's worth waiting for because we're here to talk about a very important show. It's WandaVision. Everyone's probably given their opinions on this show by this point, but we just thought we need. There are always two types of.
The definitive take.
Well, sure, the Ultimate Edition, the Snyder. No, it's fine. I just think that they're often there's like an instinctive response to the episode and movies or whatever when we review stuff, and then when you take a week you feel differently, and then when you take a year and then you come back to it later on, obviously you feel even more. So we're somewhere in the middle. It's been a week. It's been little less than a week since the season finale of WandaVision.
The Naked Lady song.
What?
It's been a little less than a week.
Oh wait, 1 second, hold on. I ruined our stream. Hold on. Continue talking then, Kar. I'm gonna fix this.
I was saying that famous Bare Naked Lady song. It's been a little less than a week.
Oh man,
He hopped
our feed
around
is gone.
He hopped around from you feel differently in a week and then a year. That was
Those are the
long.
two.
Yeah. Okay.
Is our audio still going
Yeah,
on?
our audio is still going on. Our video is cut out, so I'm
Okay.
gonna do
Who's
some.
doing this to you, Geek Fruit?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Everyone, chill out while I
Let's
fix
see
this.
what's happened.
This is now officially a podcast.
You were
I mean,
unhappy
it was anyway.
about what was happening in here, so you've shut off the transmission.
I see what you're doing.
And now the people outside are going to go like, well, there's no evidence that there was ever more than one.
We're back.
Damn it.
Cool. We're back. I think. Yes, we're back. We're back.
Shall we plant a flag right here and say, from this point on, things shall be spoiled?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
It's been
Is
a
there
little less
a
than a
lot
week.
is there a lot to spoil even?
At this
Yes.
point, I'm sure there's people who haven't caught up. Or have you met many of those people who go like, well, I'm going to wait for the entire thing to come out and then binge it all at once?
Yeah, I do know one of those people. One of my friends, Ashata. I mean, who you also know. I think she saw it after the thing got over, and she just binged it. Like she did it in a couple of days, I think. So yeah,
Perfectly reasonable, I think.
Very
In
reasonable.
fact, should we let me use that as a segue into the first point I want to make. This show might have worked better as a binge watch.
You think so?
I think so. For multiple reasons. Should we get into it, or are we doing more table settings?
No. I think let's just get into it.
The table is set. Shall we dive? All right.
Because I disagree with you. So you can
Okay. I think it might have worked a little better because, I personally enjoyed it as a weekly watch, but having spoken to a bunch of people, including some people from outside the typical nerdverse, I would say, just your casually familiar with the MCU type fans, I think people didn't quite follow the point of, say, the first few weeks. So basically, it felt smaller. This is a tight, cohesive story at the end of the day. Well, tight is relative considering it's a 9-hour story. But it takes a while to get to where it's going. And having to see that week on week, I personally enjoyed it because I thought that was just a cool
Dinkar's
way
gone.
to go.
I knew he was gonna do this to us.
we can still hear him.
I never left. That was
Continue,
nice.
Dinkar.
Yes, so that being the first reason. And I swear I had a second reason. Oh, yes. Okay. So have you seen a bunch of these, your typical fan forum reactions where they're like, God damn it, they let us down on literally every reveal because
That
people are
is-
anticipating.
Yeah, that
the
is
X-Men
exactly
thing.
the description of this YouTube video, where I have said that, hey, we're gonna discuss all of the spoilers, including Mephesto and Nightmare and all the
They were
things
all
that
in there.
Redditors wanted, but yeah, I think there's an issue there. Yeah. I mean,
I think
we'll get
with
to it.
these Redditors, to paint them with a single brush. If you spend week on week basically theorizing about all sorts of fantastical stuff, and then a fairly normal thing happens, it's gonna feel like a letdown because you spend a week going like, yeah, but what if? And then when the what if doesn't come through, you're gonna be like, well, that's disappointing. It's
I
really
don't
not
know. I
if
don't
you
know.
treat the show on its of its own accord.
I disagree. I love fan theories and speculation as much as the next person. I remember this game. I mean, obviously, Game of Thrones had its own thing. I remember when Westworld came out, the first season of Westworld. Pretty much everybody guessed what was gonna happen on Reddit, like well before. I mean, they made like
Those were some incredibly sharp guesses
amazing, yeah.
also,
That
by the
remember
way.
Watchmen and how Reddit was on that, like, but it didn't ruin the experience for me at all. I don't think I was
It
kind of
didn't ruin it for
going.
me either, but
Yeah.
I think we are like these are two fans who I'd say make up the broader audience for the show, other than us. Like we are that perfect sliver in the middle.
Did you
where
have any
the
did you
where
have
the
any
Goldilocks
theories for
zone.
this show, or did you just go like, oh, I'm just gonna wait until it happens? Because I had some theories. I was like, oh, maybe Baron Mordo is gonna show up. You know, I was like, oh, that would be awesome. Or maybe I didn't think Mephisto. Like, it didn't make sense that they would do that. With every episode that passed, I was just like, why? My first thought was like, oh, they better introduce the villain at some point, otherwise I'm not gonna care about him. And then they introduced Agatha Harkness, and I was like, okay, cool, perfect time. Then they did the table setting of her, you know, her introduction, her origin. So I was like, cool, this is the villain of the show. They're not gonna. I don't think they're gonna do another thing, because even if they did Mephisto, for the majority of the audience, they're gonna go like, why the fuck should I care about this character, right? Like, you have no introduction whatsoever. Even for the people who have read the comics, it's like you're not gonna like want to. It's like Agatha's a perfectly great like villain. Why would you do that? So for me, even though I had like some speculation and I had, but it didn't like ruin the show. I did enjoy. Sorry, just to bring it back to your point, which is like I did enjoy the wait. Like I won't say I enjoyed it. Like, I just wanted it to happen. And talking to people like you, like to you guys, and like to people who said, "Hey man, what's gonna happen? Oh, what a great episode!" And just maybe talking about the merits of the episodes themselves. That was far more exciting as a appointment viewing schedule than I totally get your point though. I think it could have been binge watched. I don't know, Richie. I don't know. Not sure.
No, I think it was like so many people wrote massive think pieces about like how this show was brought back the whole weekly viewing thing, right? It actually helped. I think it helped the entire experience a lot more. I don't know. I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much as, because we've so saturated with like so many binge watchable series. It definitely helped that we had something that we were all looking forward to. And even though it was on a streaming service and everything, it was way more fun to have it piece by piece, is what I think. I don't know. I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much.
I don't know. I would have binged it also. I mean, of course
Yeah,
I would.
we would have, but it wouldn't have been as enjoyable as what
I remember when Netflix kind of dropped Daredevil, the first season of Daredevil. I was like, this shit is mint. This is so good. I watched it. I mean, remember we would discuss like, oh, cool, how many sittings did you do it in? You know, like, oh, I did it in 3 days.
Yeah.
I did 4 episodes and 3 episodes, and again, like stuff like that. So, and I think I enjoyed that as much, I think, because Netflix was on its like, it was on the that was like the heyday of like, well, not even heyday, it was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, or maybe less than that. But it was just mostly about like
Might have been the
Netflix
heyday.
does binge dropping, kind of like, like it encourages you to binge, and like drops all the episode in one go. And we were like, oh, what a concept, like how interesting. Yes, it's not governed by the rules of television. I mean, the irony is not lost on me that this show is also, it's like an homage to television, and so it releasing as a weekly schedule kind of like sits in theme with the show itself. I mean, so
Yeah.
maybe that also makes sense.
I think that's why I preferred watching it on a weekly basis, because of those two reasons. Like, thematically, it makes a lot of sense. And at least for like the first 4 to 5 episodes, by design, really nothing happens other than like maybe a step or two towards that just indicates the larger season arc. And that is again a very classic TV season structure, where you just like, you plant a seed and then wait for like 4 weeks until you go like, oh right, here's what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. Obviously here everyone was already anticipating a single season wide story,
Right.
but they didn't jump the gun. They didn't try and like rush it. They were perfectly content to just go like, here's quite literally a straightforward episode from like the Dick Van Dyke Show, essentially, and wait it out. So when I was talking to some people on a rival stream the other day, uh, talking to people who are more casual MCU fans or like more casual geeks in general, who also probably like who weren't particularly like sitcom fans either, other than like the stuff they watch now. Uh, to them, the first 3 weeks or so, they were like literally nothing happened in the show, and none of the jokes by themselves are particularly interesting or funny if you don't follow what they're referencing. And there's no reason to expect a lot of people to get what they're referencing, especially like among us in India. I mean, I used to watch Bewitched in like reruns way back in the day, and also like I think I mean at least Ruchi's a little anti, but you and I are more or less sitcom geeks as well. They just so I think I
anti.
You're kind of anti.
No, don't put that out.
I ain't in this, but
I'm not anti.
If you like sitcoms so much, you are like name one joke.
Okay, listen. I wanna,
I'm not anti. I'm just a noob, though. Like I'm not against.
Good save.
Like this alerted me to a flaw though that I did not. I mean, I don't even know if I'd call it a flaw because it's very by design. But they do not necessarily stand on their own. Those episodes, if you don't know what they're referencing,
just my point.
And maybe that varies from like viewer to viewer. Like I personally would love to see an entire show of just that.
Yeah,
episode.
We have spoken about this also. Like Ruchi and I were talking about, like, of course we would watch an entire kind of like honeymooners style Marvel show. I mean, but for most people who are coming into the Marvel universe, what is the Marvel universe known for? It's like action comedy. That's basically, and with some like, a little bit of drama and heart, right? And I think, taking these two big vast repositories of information, having people being familiar with both. One is with the sitcom lore of American television, and the second one is 23 movies of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And having, people have a Venn diagrammic, like, kind of, knowledge of a little bit of both. It's a lot for people to kind of know both when going in. For American television, for people who live in America, yeah, it's fine because they grew up with that. That's part of their cultural kind of their history. It is interesting though that the entire point of this show,
I wonder even there.
Yeah.
For most people of the age or like of the prime demo, like your 18 to 35 type, they wouldn't be familiar with a lot of the older references. I think like maybe from the Family Ties era onwards, because like one of the recaps that I typically read off of what's this was? No, this was the AV Club recap.
Yeah.
On episode 2, the guy was talking about how the first 2 episodes were basically referencing sitcoms from the like early 60s. But like I think he said that they were both referencing maybe the Dick Van Dyke Show, and I spotted that they didn't, because like they have these clear signifiers of the era. Like at the start of episode 2, they joined the 2 beds, which was like a big deal when it first happened in American television.
Yes, that's right.
Again, we know the stuff, I suppose, because we just like are sitcom geeks as well. But this American man, a pop culture writer, did not spot that. So I'm assuming it's not common knowledge. Like in a way, that's a pretty like bold move for Marvel to do, and I really appreciate the fact that they're willing to stake like the entire franchise on alienating people for like the first 3-4 hours, and they can.
I don't know if it's about references more than like just the vibe, right? They're trying to create that, they're trying to give you some sort of signifier for each decade. So you just like go and, not that I know the difference between like, as if I'm really a huge binger of the Dick Van Dyke Show, but then there's enough to know that you're like, all right, this is the vibe, that there's different decades.
Yeah. I mean, like we've
and
seen
then obviously there's the creepy elements of...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
That's my cat. That's not my cat. Sorry.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, yeah, I agree with you, Ruchi, but like personally for me, at least, just getting all the references really, I think, added to why I enjoyed those first 4 episodes so much. And I don't know. So in fact, you tell me what, like, if you're just going off the general vibe and not the specific things that the show is calling out, what was that experience like? What do you think of the first half of the season?
Who's this?
Ruchi.
Tell us, Ruchi.
I really enjoyed the first half of the season, which is why it's like I didn't hate it as much. Obviously, I was speaking to a lot of people who were like, "Oh, it's so slow. I don't really know what the point is. Is it just like gonna be the entire thing's just gonna be homages or whatever?" And I'm like, but also I think I'm
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I'm so okay with it. I would have been okay with the whole idea just like literally being that, like every single episode just being an homage and like them slowly dissecting, like obviously what's wrong with her. It's like why she's doing it. It's like a coping mechanism, blah, blah, blah. They would have gotten to the point. I would have been fine. Obviously, which is why I'm not writing the show. And it's not going to be a really fun thing if you just do a straight up like cosplay homage kind of vibe. But it's also like, it's not slow. I don't know why it's slow, just because you're trying to take on sort of like a very specific, decade specific thing. Like, I think people are a lot more, the whole binge watching format might have like everything right now. Like, we want to know what's happening or like whatever, we want to read about it. So it might have ruined it for some people. I was not complaining.
That definitely may have like made people kind of go like, oh yeah, it is a bit slow, because for most people they're not like really I don't think they might find it as novelty for maybe the first couple of episodes. It kind of went on for a fair bit by only releasing a few nuggets of information with each episode, which again, like you mentioned, is a very television kind of thing to do. But the other thing is like, of course they were going to have to address it at some point, so you kind of have to give it its patience. I mean, like, it's the first time Marvel is doing like television, so it's going to be different. It is going to be, and I think the interesting thing about this is also that, I mean, she is an immigrant, you know, who watched television shows syndicated just like we did. So even
she's a we, yeah.
Yeah, so that I mean, that makes a lot more sense, like to us, I suppose, like, you know, also who grew up watching American, you know, television as syndicated, like reruns and that entire culture of watching it. You know, she has like a stack of television, like of cassettes, you know, VHS and stuff like that, and just watching it like that. That's very reminiscent of like how we kind of watch stuff. Or we saw like Flintstones,
100%.
which is like based on the Honeymooners. Or we saw, you know, I Dream of Jeannie, which used to come on like, I don't know, like Z Cafe or whatever.
It did used to, and it was
stuff
quite
like that.
trippy, yes.
Yeah, I find that like the most kind of like endearing, even though I didn't personally like that scene because it wasn't like this very stilted kind of English, which has a Sokovian accent. I mean, I wish they just did it in Sokovian, and then had subtitles or whatever for that scene.
Yeah, and there were a couple of moments where they like laid it on a bit thick, but I will say I was like, as we were getting closer towards the explanation of why she was imagining everything as different eras of sitcoms, I was completely prepared to go like, man, they screwed that one up, because that's a lot of weight to put on the show. If you go like 4 hours in, I'm going to tell you why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But when the reveal eventually happened, maybe because of what you're saying, Tejas, the fact that we essentially had the same experience, I was like, no, I'm on board. I get why this is happening.
It was really nice to see it like presented like, and I think we all kind of had an idea, right? Like, obviously, like Richie said, you know, it's like, it's a coping mechanism. We just need to know the exposition for how it happened, right? Like,
exactly.
And get into that. I think that was like, it was handled well. Obviously, the heart of the show is these two, and they're really good and stuff like that. So they sell that idea. It was just about how do we get there, and you know, just to the point of references, it's literally the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe is now just is a bunch of references to earlier events, or is the entire like show is because of something that has happened earlier, right? Like, we're getting into the thick of comic book storytelling now, which is like you jump in at any point of time and something is happening. There's a crossover event happening and you're just like witnessing it and you're just like, oh, what happened? There's a previously... Man, did you read the titles of the episodes? Like the titles? It was so good, man. It was all referencing like television. And obviously, I mean, it's such a smart move. I don't know if they said last year or maybe even the year before that this was going to be the first off the bat for Marvel television shows, right? I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier and all that stuff. And I think they pushed this one maybe just ahead of that because it just, man, it makes so much sense. This is Marvel doing television and the whole show is about television. that's what a way to kind of do that, man. I thought it was great. I only felt like maybe the Modern Family episode kind of like felt a little slow. Like that's why I enjoyed the first half of the season maybe a little bit more until the last episode. But that first few episodes were great, man. It was just good to, you know what remind me of? It reminded me of like, it's like when Lego does Star Wars stuff,
Yeah,
or when they
it was
do
that vibe.
non-canon kind of like adventures with, you know, characters and stuff like that, or Marvel does, you know, or like this MODOK show that's coming. It's like it'll be out of continuity, it'll be great, but it'll be like this weird take on these characters. But of course, I
It's
mean,
exactly like campy enough for me to like, okay, I'm suddenly like interested. It's like a whole new, like if it were up to me, like I'd do any kind of like superhero story with like every single genre possible. So like I
yeah,
was saying, like I wouldn't mind like a traditional, like a fully traditional rom-com. Like this is not a traditional rom-com at all. Like obviously
yeah.
things change. I would like fully take, you know, two characters and you fully go through a movie where they like it's like a meet cute, and obviously there's some, you know, the main thing that's happening, but it'll be like I would do that for like every single
Again, and I feel
so
like
I
that's again
love
been explored in the comics also,
Like
right? Like
the
they've done the
Black
genre
Widow
breakdowns.
trailer that SNL did.
Exactly, I was thinking of that. But
yeah,
there is a
exactly.
there is a really good comic book arc, which kind of again remind me of that as well, which is called Mary Jane Loves Peter Parker, or Mary Jane Loves Spider-Man. I think it's a really like it's just an interesting comic from the perspective of Mary Jane. And it's really not about Spider-Man. Like Peter Parker appears and they're having their life together. It's kind of like a manga like style, you know, just like a romance like between these two characters. And then like he whisks away to do like you know, Spider-Man-y things, but she's just thinking about, oh, you know, like what am we gonna do this weekend, like stuff like that. So it reminded me a bit of that. It also reminded me a bit of like Lois and Clark from the 90s, you know, with Terry Hatcher and, you know, Dean Cain,
Yeah.
which was just like about their relationship more than the actual super. There was obviously a lot of Superman stuff, but
The
like more
occasional
about,
Supermaning though. It was
yeah,
like basically a standard 40-minute TV drama.
it was great. Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't think it's impossible, but I think obviously since they're, you know, getting these A-listers and stuff to come down and be
I
part of
think
these
it's
shows.
desirable. It's just that the formula hasn't been proven yet, and hopefully we can rely on Marvel and, well, to some extent maybe DC taking this somewhere, because like something like Harley Quinn, it's an animated show, so the stakes are way lower. But DC is experimenting a lot in animation, and they did have the wherewithal to try a superhero sitcom with Powerless, which was shamefully cancelled after a single season.
You don't do that to Alan Tudyk, man. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Highly underrated. Like a standard 20-minute sitcom just with superheroes. Ugh.
Yeah, that was good. Let's talk about the show itself. Obviously, just not just the structure. Would you guys? Okay, so let's just break down the ending and the finale. What did you guys think overall? Were you satisfied? What did you guys think of? You know, each of the character arcs. Did they kind of conclude well? What did you guys think, Ruchi?
Did they conclude all the character arcs? Well, no.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of not the point. Right? This point of the show is about them, so which was done brilliantly, and obviously there's no flaws at all. Obviously, there's so many of these characters like Monica, and you know,
She was a bit
Pietro.
slighted, I feel, at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know all of these things, but they weren't resolved, you know, because there's no time. I guess there's so much to tackle anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, but they were so good, and their storyline was resolved. So I don't think it would have been done.
It was beautiful,
better.
man. Yeah, I cried. Like this is the only episode I saw twice. I think was the last one. It was fantastically written, man. Like so well written. Yeah.
Also, okay,
Yeah.
what do you guys think of like you know the whole Darcy character arc where she's constantly referencing the show within the show, and she's like, oh, you know, I'm watching.
It was not
WandaVision.
just her. I think Hayward also does that. You know, when they
Well, not
use
really, but
terminology.
she was
They
like
say,
a
"Oh, we're canceling so and so," is what she says. You know, like or canceling the show or something like that. I think he says in the last episode. And then obviously she says, "Oh, they recast, you know, Pietro."
Yeah.
All the jargon is very consistent with internet like jargon. That was cool,
Yeah.
man. I love that.
So
I mean, she is watching a show.
Yeah, but wasn't it made a little bit like, it's kind of like when Netflix does something very hokey, then you know that it's like framed right in the middle of the thing, so they can screenshot it with social media accounts. So whenever she'd say something like, oh, I was watching WandaVision for the past 3 weeks, they're going to use it.
That's so good. It works. I think over here it works so well. Like, I think they earned it, like, personally speaking. And Darcy is exactly the kind of character. That's why you cast Kat Dennings. I mean, you bring her character back because she is so like referencing of the entire, even like in Thor, the couple of movies that she's supposed to be like the snarky kind of teen in that, like she's basically us watching those movies and going like, oh wow, really, making this kind of meta commentary on it. So I think it worked really well. And the funny thing about Marvel now is just like anytime you say like, oh, but what about White Vision? Oh, what about Monica, man? They'll be like, yeah, we're continuing a story. we're going to do it in the next one. That they can just do this forever, basically. Like, they'll just be like, Captain Marvel 2 is coming out. She'll be there in that. Boom. Makes sense.
We'll find a spot for her. In fact, I didn't think Darcy's meta references were as annoying as like Marvel's been constantly dropping Easter eggs specifically for, like you were saying, Richie, fan reactions, like the fact that Evan Peters is in this, or like the references to like, I got a friend who does this, and then those turning out to be red herrings. Those are far more baity than like, at least there's story justification for Kat Dennings being the way she is. Plus, she just like pulls it off so well. She's a pro.
So let's address this Pietro situation, and well, that primarily, I think that was, the moment it dropped, everyone lost their shit. I lost my shit.
Like literally screaming. Yeah, I was actually screaming.
It was a very, very bold move to make, right? Because it's like, it's 100 things packed into one. Just Kevin Feige flexing that 20th century studio muscle and just going like, I'll do whatever the fuck I want. He's basically like Thanos now, just saying, let's just do it. And at the end, obviously, they reveal that, he's just another resident of Westview. And he has no...
Very Iron Man 3.
Sorry?
Very Iron Man 3.
It is a bit Iron Man. But I don't know. Iron Man 3 works really well for me. Even today, like, I'm fine with it. Especially, I don't know.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah. No, I mean, even the internet has plenty of opinions on Iron Man 3. It's pretty divisive.
I thought Iron Man 2 was the divisive one.
No, Iron Man 2, everyone agrees, is not good, I think. Iron Man 3 is like, either people really love it as this buddy cop thing, or they're just like, how could you do this to Mandarin? And, they tried a slight retcon with that, All Hail the King short film that came out after it, where, Ben Kingsley is in prison, and they say, oh, the real Mandarin's going to show up. And now, and in typical fashion, once again, Marvel's like, oh yeah, Mandarin? Yeah, sure, we'll do it. Shang-Chi in the Ten Rings, we got something, so you never know what they're going to do with that.
Here's a side question, a side quest. All the one-shots, where are they? Why aren't they on streaming services or like on Hotstar Plus Disney specifically?
I think
are they not canon anymore?
I don't know, man. See, because there are only 3. There were only 3 or 4. There was the accountant, if I'm not... the consultant? Sorry, the consultant, which was Iron Man showing up. Sorry, accountant, you know how I am. The consultant where Iron Man shows up, speaks to Thunderbolt Ross.
The one with Lizzie Kaplan?
That's Article 47?
Article 47.
No, that's the movie Article 47, right? Article 47.
They're looking for the thingy. And
oh my god, is that also a movie, Article 37 and Article 47? Is that what it's called? Agent 47? No, that's Hitman. I can't remember what it's called.
Maybe Article something.
Yeah. It's basically where they steal one of the Chitauri's like weapons and they try and get
Item 47.
Item. There you go. All right.
The Consultant and Agent Carter.
And then they have Agent Carter is the show.
Where it says Marvel one-shot.
That's also a shot. Yeah, then they kind of expanded that into the show, which is canon because Jarvis shows up in Endgame. So technically that is. And then they had something funny happen on the way to Thor's hammer, which is Coulson kind of going to kick ass in this little gas station.
And All Hail the King.
And All Hail the King. So I think, I mean, I don't see how it can't be canon. The only things I feel like they have made non-canon
nothing
is Inhumans.
Significant happens in any of them that you're invalidating, but they could, and they should be up.
Yeah. So this Evan Peters thing, I think it was
Mm-hmm.
just it's like a combination of really smart casting to kind of throw people off, but also let's just hire Evan Peters because he's a good actor and he
He's
can.
amazing.
Imagine if Evan
You go
Peters.
a full rant about Evan Peters about how great he is. So,
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
was fully like underutilized. Yeah.
he is great. He is. So
Um,
imagine he wasn't Quicksilver in the X-Men films. Wouldn't you cast him as a quirky uncle to these two twin boys
as
generally? Like,
anything, the range that he has, dude, he's on. So until very recently, him and Sarah Paulson were two people who were on every single episode of, every single season of American Horror Story. That was like they were like the prom king and queen of that show, and every season is different, obviously. And the range that he has, and he's so young, it's almost ridiculous. Like you could cast him as anything and he believably pulls it off. He has like emotional range and he's like quirky, funny, obviously. And
precisely.
yeah, so he really like underutilized. Obviously, I really want to see more of him. Mostly I miss him, like I miss seeing him and things. So yeah,
I feel like it almost was that
I
though. That he's such a good actor, and they were just like, oh, I don't know if this was the immediate thought, but they must have gone like, oh, cool, we want to kind of recast Pietro, or maybe we can't get him. It's like, okay, cool, who would play this role well? And they were just like, why can't we just get this
would play
dude?
this role well in this capacity where it's like, oh, a long lost brother
Yeah, like
comes
a Malcolm in the Middle kind of
yeah.
situation.
I
He
mean,
was so perfectly
this is
fit
all
in that.
speculation, obviously. We can't figure what their actual thought process was. But I don't think completely agreed. Evan Peters is great, but I don't think that was probably like a much smaller part of the reason they hired him.
But
The primary goal was to basically just go like basically tease the
Yeah.
possible
yeah,
union
yeah.
of these two
But
universes.
tell me, you won't. I'm telling you, more opportunities like this are going to present themselves once you do the multiverse, right? Like Chris Evans showing up as, Johnny Storm is such a possibility now. Like,
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
like the moment they go into a different universe or open the multiverse. I mean, the whole fact that they're doing the whole Spider-Man from like three different things. I mean,
Are
it
they
is.
though? He keeps denying it.
So did you see that tweet? That was so good though, right? Like I think
Yeah.
fandom, Twitter was saying, let me write the
Yeah, Twitter was
bios for anything, and Spider-Man Far From Home or No Way Home said, oh, do
yeah.
us, and they were like, oh, Spider-Man No Way Home starring
Starring.
Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire coming to the theaters this December, and no response, right? So good, like what a hilarious thing to do. But it's possible. It is very possible now, man. Why wouldn't they do it? Like, what is stopping Chris Evans from doing that? It'll make everyone's brain like explode, dude. I mean, like when I saw Jarvis in Endgame, I was just like, that is awesome, dude. That's such good fan service. When you do it like not egregiously, like
True.
Justice League throwing in a Green Lantern at the end of Justice League in a few days, potentially.
It's not, how do you know that it's Green
Hey, come on, who the fuck else is it gonna be? It's gonna be the body of Army Hammer playing Green Lantern, but the face has
It's gonna be
been,
the bodies because of Army.
but the face has been recently changed to Tig Notaro.
So
That's
they're
what it's
gonna
gonna be.
reveal. The cameo is that it's gonna be Army Hammer, and they reveal that he is the Zodiac killer, like in real life, which is why he's being cancelled.
Isn't David Fincher the Zodiac killer?
No, he's not. Why would you say
Have you seen
that?
that theory go around? Anyway, all right.
Certainly is.
So
He
okay.
made that movie.
So how do we
I
feel
just
about
want
the
an
Evan Peters
explanation
thing?
of how Alfred Woodard was both Black Mara and some lady whose kid died.
True.
That's,
Yes.
I mean, that's the one we're waiting for. An entire series on her because she's amazing.
She's so, but we got it, dude. Yo, she
We did.
owns
Yeah.
Luke Cage, dude. She owns that show.
That's a good diet. Scenery, chew it all.
Amazing. Oh, she's too good.
Speaking of chewing,
And what's his name? Mahershala as well.
Of course.
Brilliant. Who says you can't?
Bring him back. That's a great actor who was criminally underused as
I
well.
mean, they should bring Charlie Cox back as Daredevil, man. Like, what are you
I
guys
wonder, I
waiting
suppose
for,
those
dude?
are also a possibility since the Defenders are still around in canon.
Oh, that show.
Are they? I mean,
That's gang. Like all the defenders
I
are
mean, it's
technically
Agents of
like
Shield
just
canon,
somewhere
man.
in the
Like they
streets of New
don't
York.
do they address Infinity War, the snap. I mean, but they don't do anything about it. They come back. I mean, Jishnu's not here, but he is here in spirit. Actually, I want to take a second now. We're gonna hear from Jishnu. I don't know how you
Okay.
guys are gonna hear from me. You aren't. You're gonna have to watch the episode later on. But we have a little
Right.
clip from Jishnu who wanted to share his thoughts on WandaVision. Here you guys go. I hope you enjoy it.
Hey, you nerds, it's your boy, me. You might know me from other shows like that other Geek Fruit podcast, and the Nerditorium, and that guy that makes those sweet things army teas. So WandaVision was great. That shouldn't surprise anybody that knows me. It had sitcoms in it. What's not to love? The first 3 episodes were basically flawless as far as I was concerned. The only letdown, they didn't do the Full House gag. But hey, they can't all be winners. At least this Olsen had twins of her own. See what they did there? It was amazing. Puns on metaphors. It was amazing. That 70s theme song, priceless. Anywho, so fun all the way around. It was a great breath of fresh air, especially the first 3 episodes, obviously. But then the minute that we come right back into the thick of the blip with Monica Rambeau's story and getting caught up with all things post-blip was great. Getting back into the swing of things in the MCU. They kept the scale of things, obviously, that final episode with regard to the scale and the stakes as far as the severity of how much of a threat Wanda and or Vision are to the world was spot on. I didn't lose any cinematicness by virtue of it being a weekly episodic show. That being said, I will admit that I was a bit reticent about getting more Wanda and or Vision, particularly Vision. Obviously, we know that Wanda hasn't been the best fleshed out because she's had to share the screen time with so many other people. But Vision's died twice. I was wondering, do I really want that much more Vision? And after all this, without getting into the weeds of the details, I'm sure you guys will talk about that, I am so on board for more Vision. Paul Bettany has just been a 10 on 10 all the way through with the little bit that he's had to play with. Obviously, he had a lot more this time around, and I think he just destroyed the game. So I'm very excited to see more of him. Wanda was consistent all the way through. I thought she did a great job of pivoting between a badass who you're rooting for and a badass that you might be afraid of. There's like this vague Anakin Skywalker-esque nature about her now, which I really, really enjoy. And as far as all the multiple red herrings in the show, or potential, seeds that might come to fruition later, I'm kind of glad that Evan Peters was a bait and switch. Obviously, I lost my mind, but considering that could have potentially been like, the backdoor pilot for like a multiverse or for the X-Men or anything like that, I'm kind of glad that they saved it, because I think that those kind of giant needle-moving events should be saved for a movie or something that is a bit more of an event. I feel like since WandaVision was just the first one out of the gates, they were kind of playing the field and trying a whole bunch of different things, and they stuck the landing where it mattered the most for me, which is the heart of the relationship between Wanda and Vision. And I thought they did that beautifully. I didn't mind seeing the two of them say goodbye to each other for the second or third time or whatever the hell it is. They get better with it every time, so that's what matters to me at the end. So I'll let you guys get into the weeds of it. But if you haven't brought it up already, or if you don't plan to, then let me please mention the one best little nugget from this show, which I hope that they double down on more, which is your boy Jimmy Woo. He's the MVP. He has inspired me to spend a good 7 to 9 minutes this afternoon learning how to say goodbye like this. Did I do it? I think I did it. I did it, right? Yeah. Jimmy Woo. Yeah.
Cool. So that was Jishnu.
I agree with the first couple of things he said. Then
Did
he
the
said
echo
some stuff
go? Sorry,
don't quite-
I only realized that later on.
Is that because your mic was on?
Maybe, but also just there were two signals. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Dinkar.
Oh, I was saying I agreed with the first couple of things Jishnu said, then I didn't agree with him, and then at the end I agreed with him again.
It's like a great.
I don't entirely know what he said.
Oh, you didn't watch it. Okay, no, basically
No,
he.
I couldn't. I mean, I heard bits of it through your mic, but I'm
Oh
not
shit!
sure what he said.
Okay, cool. That's probably it. No, he basically he enjoyed the show. He enjoyed one Olsen having twins. That's what he said, which was great. I don't know why I'm telling you guys. You guys have to watch later on. But he basically
we'll
he
watch
enjoyed the
later.
show thoroughly, and he said he likened Wanda to Anakin Skywalker, which was quite cool actually. Like that's why I love Jishnu. Anyway, but yeah, he basically said that she's kind of he said he didn't really like Vision before, well, as much until this show, which I'm just like, dude, Vision is so cool. I love Vision, dude. I mean, in fact, I was really sad that he wasn't there in Endgame as much, but super glad to have him back. That one Ship of Theseus little dialogue was so cool and fun to watch, and it was great. And for anybody who watched Anand Gandhi's Ship of Theseus, we were just like,
Yeah. Come on. You know Marvel is just going all out of this fan service thing when they start dropping references to Anand Gandhi Ship of Theseus. They were like, let's just tantalize the fans by going like, yo, remember at Memewala's Ship of Theseus?
But Vision does the most succinct explanation for the Ship of Theseus, which is...
He did it point-wise. He was like, well, firstly. And secondly, for the remaining 5 marks...
Yeah, it was very Vision. It was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I mean, that's your classic exposition-y vibe. But if it was anyone else other than Vision, it would look hammy. But it's Vision. Yeah. You know he talks like this. He is this guy.
Yeah. They really played to their
these
strengths.
Guys.
It reminded me a lot of the conversation with Ultron also. It was just like very kind of, you know...
It is, yeah.
Except obviously Ultron has a huge attitude problem. But still, you know, like it just reminded me of that kind of AI versus AI kind of thing. It was great, man. Super.
Because, none of it is out of the blue or unjustified, which is what I think really makes it work.
Ruchi?
I agree with everything. Literally just listening.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about... sorry, go ahead.
I kind of agree with him liking Vision a lot more in this, but obviously, right, he's got so much more to do.
Yeah.
Same with Wanda. And just generally, he's got so much more heart. I mean...
Yeah, it's like basically he's the Tin Man and the Scarecrow together in one guy. Or at least like there are a couple of people, like there was a lot of Wizard of Ozzy kind of moments in that. One is obviously the house falling on, the car falling on Agatha. But the other thing was, I don't know if you caught this, but there was, first I thought, I was like, oh, is that a reference? And then on the theater, the marquee, it says Oz the Great and the Powerful. It's another Disney movie with Franco.
It's a double reference. It's also a Sam Raimi reference.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was good. That was good. So
I never saw Oz the Great and Powerful.
It's okay. It's all right.
Not great, not powerful.
It was great and wonderful, by the way.
That's it.
And still neither.
Was it?
Yeah.
Ah.
It was fine. It was fine. I love a good, Disney. It was like Maleficent. Just a good.
More like Maleficent.
Sorry?
I haven't seen either Maleficent.
I've seen the first one. I've not seen the Mistress of Evil, the one which has been giving ads upon ads on during the Premier League.
I know what happens at the end because I was working at the movie theater at the time. Of
the second one. Oh, don't tell me. I want to watch it because our boy Chiwetel Ejiofor is in it. So I definitely want to.
I know exactly what I've seen that last scene many times.
Say nothing. Say no more. This is a WandaVision spoiler cast, not Mistress of Evil. Let's talk about where they're gonna take off from here. She's the Scarlet Witch now. They finally said the name. That's a thing. She looks great. That costume is fucking awesome. It is so well done. And looks like perfectly like, modern movie making kind of magic, and also like the comics. So it was great. Where did White Vision go, Richie? Where did he go? Where is he gone?
He's gone to get his own spin-off.
I was gonna say he's gone to Wakanda. I don't know.
No.
I mean,
it would make sense that he goes to Wakanda, right? To Shuri.
I suppose so. Since he has his memories back.
I mean, like, I still think I was watching Infinity War.
She kind of look at him and go like, what are those? Back at it again with the white vision.
Exactly. I was watching.
I mean, that drip is cold, literally.
They don't conclude that scene well at all because it's just like, oh,
does
maybe
just-
there's more to Vision. I think they were just kind of leaving it open so that the writers in the future
Yeah.
would be able to kind of decide, right? So they say maybe the best parts of Vision aren't in the Mind Stone at all, and the Mind Stone part we got, which was this Vision, and he's gone now. But the rest of it is that Vision. And he can go back to, Shuri, and maybe she can do something. So that would be interesting.
Do you think, I'm guessing
Yeah.
that soon-ish, they're going to figure out a way to get the Mind Stone back into White Vision and therefore turn him into Color
I think they're
Vision?
done with the Infinity Stones, man. There's none. You can't bring them
No,
back.
it's not about the stones. It's probably going to be like a moment where something happens and they will bring
Something
Whitey
from
V
Wanda.
back to Color V.
I just think, I just hope they don't
Which is
do
like
it
the
like...
easiest way is to just go like the Mind Stone is.
Yeah, it's just
I
like
mean,
a little computer guy now
Loki's
he's got over
coming.
there.
You could just
Look,
pull a
look.
Mind Stone from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because this is past Loki we're talking about essentially, right? Like 2000,
He's different timeline
early
Loki now.
2010 Loki.
That's still, I mean,
Correct. But he is going to come back to the present day. There's not going to be a plot point as such, but it is going to be a device where they do something to get the Mind Stone back into Vision, like a quick thing. And
I don't know if
now
they'll
he's
bring the
back
Mind
to
Stone back to Vision. I think what they did, I'm not sure what they did in the comics, but it's basically just Vision doesn't have the Mind Stone anymore, right? Like I know in the comics, all the Infinity Stones always exist within the universe, like at all points of time, but they just don't over here. Unless they want to bring them back in the future to bring back Thanos and all these characters and stuff, which I don't
I
not
don't
see
think
happening.
they're going
It's
to get
definitely-
into all that. I just feel like it's unlikely that they'll go on for very long with White Vision.
No, yeah, no, they'll bring back regular Vision, but I don't think he'll have the Mind Stone. But I do think that when the ancient
How is
one
he going to
says
get his color back, though?
it won't. It's like basically
he
what is there
has
in
been
the.
programmed to self-destruct. So someone's gonna have to convince him not to ixnay himself. So.
No, he's not been programmed to self-destruct. He just told him that we're both the freaking Vision. Like you.
Yeah, but he's
go
just
own your shit.
requested elaboration. No one's like overriding.
Yeah, no, but exactly.
That-
Yeah, I don't think he's. I think he like Vision would. He'd probably just go to kind of get more answers, and I think the answers lie
Yeah.
in Wakanda or whatever it is. So that's one thing. I think he will definitely get his color back and all that jazz. That'll happen. I just hope they don't treat it like Bruce and Natasha's kind of romance where they just kind of like
Forget about it.
forget about it essentially. Yeah, they kind of not in redcon. They just kind of like don't do a good. That was like the one. But that was the trade-off you made for the rest of the kind of choices they made in those films. So it's fine. But this one is like they made an entire show about it. And with that end dialogue between the two of them, you gotta bring them back for us, dude. That would be wonderful and great.
That'd be wonderful. Yes.
Yes. And and I think that's what they gotta do. Thoughts on Wanda being the villain of Doctor Doom? You think maybe? I don't think so personally. I don't want.
I
her
don't
to
think
be a
so
villain.
either.
She has
So
to
I
have
do
had
think-
learned something, right? Like in this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, here she turned out to be basically like inadvertently kind of a dick. So I think Doctor Strange is actually going to be like a correctional move there, where she's basically in remorse for a lot of what she did here. She basically Thanos it, man. Like she got the F out, and now she's out there making tea and whatnot.
Yeah, she's Thanos it. She's a
Yeah,
Wonder
she's
Woman.
all she has to do is like be accountable, right? Like if she didn't mean to do it, it's just like she suppressed her grief long enough that it sort of turned toxic in a way, and it
Yeah.
spilled over.
And she
to-
wasn't obviously helped by any of the no one
No,
helped her.
she
with that.
wasn't. She
Except
wasn't.
Hawkeye, guys. Never forget. Hawkeye had that first conversation with her. So clearly didn't do a good enough job, but whatever. Ishan
Yeah.
says, do you
No,
think
he shouldn't be helping anyone because he doesn't have great coping mechanisms as well. So
Right.
he doesn't?
Yeah, the
But
guy who
he's gonna have
often
redemption. He's
started
gonna have redemption.
knocking
dude.
people off
Yeah.
is going to tell you how to deal with grief.
Ishan says, do you guys think Wanda will use the Darkhold to get her kids back and Vision back, and in that process she comes in contact with Mephisto? Maybe they introduce those characters later on.
Very possible. Here's my theory though, because I don't know how they bring in Mephisto at this stage without really adding too many elements to the mix. I'm thinking that we will eventually learn that the way Wanda's kids came to be is they were essentially like they came to be with like fully formed personalities, which she didn't really like create with Vision. At least you know that she's working off a memory she had. With the kids, I think they came to be because they exist in one of the versions of the multiverse, and those are the kids that we hear asking
That
for
would be
help
cool.
at the
Yeah,
end
she's
of
supposed
the
to be
thing.
a nexus being, right? Like a gateway. There's only one Scarlet
Exactly.
Witch in
So
the whole of the
she
multiverse.
subconsciously pulled from another multiverse and invented
I
kids
dig it.
who she does have somewhere else.
I dig it.
So
I
she's
dig
gonna
it.
go and rescue those guys.
Would love to see an actual love triangle between Vision, White Vision, and Wanda. It can't be that easy.
No.
That'll be
It's gonna
funny.
be
I don't
tough.
like love.
It's a nexus. Okay, listen. So yeah, maybe Doctor Strange is like a mentor figure. I think it was Dormammu is criminally kind of understated in the first movie. I mean, you can't just have
Yeah.
Dormammu as like a ethereal being. I mean, he's like a big
He's
part of the comics.
gotta break out of that loop at some point.
He's fine now. He said, and everybody's talking about Vision dying so many times. I was like, Doctor Strange has died so many times. He's doing just fine.
Yeah.
He's okay. The man has lived. Anyway, I
You
think
know they're gonna spend like the first like 20 minutes of Wanda and or actually that entire dynamic, the Wanda Strange dynamic is gonna be about this whole like, well, I'm actually more powerful than you vibe. That little
yeah, it'll be
buddy
a
cop
nice
snipey business.
a nice ego kind of reality check
I don't
for.
know if it will be though. Like,
Maybe it might be.
isn't he really well versed in his sector of magic? So I'm sure.
Yeah, but
I'm sure he
yeah,
knows.
that's
I'm sure
why
he's
it's gonna be
aware
a
that
constant back and forth because she's more powerful than him and he's probably slightly more studied than her.
Yeah, I think that'll be cool. Like experience versus, just sheer.
No, but right now
It's
but
a
right
Yoda
now-
versus Anakin. Anakin is like that. Then Jishnu, we have Jishnu to thank for this reference. Maybe Doctor Strange is kind of like a Mace Windu or that kind of figure, right? Somebody who makes the right, maybe
Badass.
the decision making, right? Like, I mean, Doctor Strange is. I don't know if he's had this much trauma for him to have done something like this, but like, so maybe he can guide her or something will happen. I don't know. Maybe it'll be like a cool fight.
She's
and-
catching up on the knowledge, but she's learning.
yeah, she's learning. Yes,
She's learning.
she's learning. That would be cool.
Why is she learning from the dark hole then? As everyone knows from X-Men Apocalypse, you learn by putting your hands on a TV and absorbing all the
You
knowledge.
think she didn't do
But
anything?
she has that already.
She
She
did
knows
plenty,
everything.
did plenty. And I think you think we'll see Catherine Hahn in the Doctor Strange film?
I really hope so. Oh my
How
god.
good was she, man?
You're great.
So excellent.
As
so
expected. I don't know if we'll see her in Doctor Strange. You think she'll be back that soon? I think she is going to come back, but they might like let her cool her jets for a bit before
Maybe.
she
But
makes a
Doctor
big
Strange is
appearance.
this year, isn't it? Oh, it's next year. Sorry.
Nothing's this year.
Yeah, no, well, no,
I mean,
Spider-Man
except
is
for,
this year.
except for the Snyder cut, which is in 2 weeks.
No,
The
I think
Spider and the Snyder are out this year.
I think Spider-Man and the Spider-Man 3 is out this year in December.
End of the year, yeah.
Yeah, we have got Black Widow, we've got Eternals, and we've got Spider-Man, if I'm not mistaken.
What is the deal with Black Widow? Have they decided when it comes out?
I just hope it's not too dated by the time it comes out because they don't have to do an origin story, so they're saved doing that. But I think I don't know. I just hope it's a good story. I think Marvel knows that it's time. It's just they have to kind of zone in. All these shows have to zone in on the heart of things. Though having said that, I mean, Falcon and Winter Soldier, I don't think I need it to be anything more. If it is, it'll be a bonus. But I don't need it to be anything more than just like solid.
Adventure of the Week. Come on.
Yeah.
It just has
That'll
to
be
be.
great.
It just has to be like a cool team up, like Lethal Weapon style kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They
that would be
go,
great.
do one thing every week, and then they're done.
Yeah, the villain of the week, man. You're right. I think that would be great. Ankit says Agatha got the Darkhold from Ghost Rider.
Bring
And
back
he does.
Ghost Rider.
He says hashtag always an agent of Shield. So apparently
Okay.
there was value in watching Agents of Shield. Sorry,
But
Ankit.
yeah.
Ankit, I respect your.
The value is Ghost Rider. I still can't believe there's a canonical Ghost Rider in this universe. So I don't know what happened to him in Agents of Shield. So I have no idea.
Don't
But
invoke
on,
that.
man.
Don't ask.
Sorry,
we
my
might get
bad.
another answer.
I think Ankit and Jishnu should do like every single time one of these shows end. both of them should like go on a Nerditorium and just be like, all right, so Falcon and the Winter Soldier, these are all the things that were foreshadowed.
It was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. all along, guys.
It
Yeah.
was,
We should have known.
it was. Vishal says this podcast so underrated. Thank you, Vishal. Great.
Right, Vishal.
On that note, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
More Evan Peters.
More Evan Peters. Okay. All right.
Yeah, though I don't know how likely that is to happen. My final thoughts are, I think people should cool their jets on speculation for a bit. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
we're all going to, including us, but like the anticipation of what's going to happen with, say, the Fantastic Four and the X-Men universe and stuff, I think people will enjoy a lot more if they just like chill out and watch what happens rather than like
That's not
speculation.
I know. I think Disney knows exactly what it's doing, right? Like they know that they have a show literally every like the end of one show, there's another one beginning. I think people will
until
get
we
with the
die.
program. People are gonna get with the program and go like, okay, cool. We might get some of those things right, and we might get some of them wrong. But I think it's better to
some
just
of these
enjoy them.
were like, I mean, Disney might, it's far from a major thing, but I don't know if like specifically annoying your legendary type fans who expected Mr. Fantastic to show up because of the references to like my friend's gonna turn up, or like people who expected the X-Men universe to enter here because Evan Peters turned up. That in like all told, I don't think it matters, but I don't know if Disney expected any backlash from that. They might have thought like, hey, this is a fun little red herring. But people going like, why would they let us down
I don't know,
like
man.
this?
I think they could have known, man. They know the implications. Like they say, it's like there's so much speculation that happens between films, and those were like 3 times a year. Now it's happening on a weekly basis, so there's obviously going to be a lot more on Twitter.
No,
and,
I'm not saying they didn't anticipate the speculation. I think they might not have anticipated the backlash to it, like the fact that people would be angry at the fact that
people who are angry, honestly, just go fuck yourself, dude. It's fine. This is going into jail territory.
But I think that's symptomatic of us like treating everything as a reason to, as in like this is something we've been taught by Marvel and
dude, by Star Wars, dude.
Also,
Star Wars invented all of this stuff, dude, and it's like
Star Wars invented coming up with reasons after the fact.
No. I'm saying Star Wars invented everything, right? The fandom, the toxic fandom. So it's like after Last Jedi and even the prequels, everyone learned a valuable lesson, knowing that okay, cool. Sometimes it's going to disappoint, and sometimes you'll find value in it later on, like it's okay. And like people still hate on it. Some people are defending it now. The same people are like hating on Last Jedi and, and Rise of Skywalker and stuff. And it's cool. Like they're going to be these types of fans who like speculate when they don't get what they want. They're going to like go like, oh, well, fuck that, and that's not great. But we're used to it.
The intention with like casting these guys is like, so reading too much into a move is, I think, what can ruin the thing. Like I don't think in this case it's necessarily as.
Can you help that? Of course, you're gonna read into it.
How are you gonna do it? Yeah.
Like personally, I did not expect the X-Men universe to come in here at all, because I think I was looking at this as a sitcom format where you see all the time. For example, like when Ted Danson's on The Good Place and they pull off this little scene where he happens to be standing behind a bar with a towel on his hand, and he goes like, "Hey, you want a drink?" It's not like I expected this to suddenly turn into like, holy shit, wait a second. Is Cheers
I
and
agree.
Is going to cross over?
No,
like,
I think it's less
saw
to do
it as
with
a fun nod more than like a gateway.
I don't think they were ever going to introduce, like, they're never going to backdoor pilot, like,
exactly
X-Men or any, and people who think they're going to do that, it's way too much. And you're taking away from what the show is supposed to be, right? Like, the show is Wanda and Vision, and that's it. And if you do, like, other kind of, like, the most they got at it was Monica Rambeau and her origin story. And, and she's kind of part of she's part of the Captain Marvel universe, technically, but they've kind of introduced her here, and they found a really interesting way to kind of give her powers, and I think that was cool.
Which is amazing, I think.
Yeah,
like Fantastic Four, X-Men, and they're like, no, Monica Rambeau.
Cool.
Shut up.
That's great, dude, and that was good enough for me. I think that was solid, and that origin story was so cool, also, dude. Like the way it happens, that was like super legit. You can hear, like Jishnu was talking about this, like when that first scene which we get in episode 4. where she comes back, the blip.
That was a great scene.
So incredibly well done. It was really well made.
I mean, personally, I feel like that was the one great scene with her, though, and I didn't really feel like. I mean, she's fine, but I didn't see anything in the entire Monica Rambeau arc that I was particularly.
Hey, you know what? She's showing up in Captain Marvel, so they're
Yeah,
not.
like
They're just
I
setting her
expect
up
her
now.
to do cool stuff later, but the amount of time we spent with her, like possibly all justified just by that first scene, but she does like a whole lot of nothing otherwise.
Yeah, her purpose is not completely fulfilled, and in fact,
They backdoor piloted her, which is
they
always
backdoor
a
piloted
little
her,
awkward.
and obviously the Skrulls thing at the end. So I mean that's something. So you definitely know in which direction she's kind of moving in, right? Like, so I guess that's the. What did you think of Monica Rambeau, Richie?
Yeah, like I said, they didn't really resolve her storyline at all, and it was just like, okay, so she's just like either held captive or like just being thrown around. And she spent a little bit time in the hex with her, so that sort of made her like an unwilling sort of witness, but she doesn't really know anything at all. So she was just like sort of being passed around by people until she gets her powers, and then yeah, I guess she's going to space now. So
I mean, there are a couple of like issues with all the supporting characters in that regard, like Hayward suddenly opening fire on these kids, and it was a little out
He
of
turned
like
into
out
like
of
a
the blue.
cartoon villain in that last
He becomes a
episode.
cartoon villain, a television
A little weird.
villain, and and even with Kat Dennings' character, I mean with Darcy, kind of like she's there for a bit,
yeah,
and
she's
then
gone. Where's she gone?
and what happens? So Jimmy is like probably
She went back to work, I suppose,
Yeah.
in wherever she came from.
she's now
But
a
is
doctor.
it not
and-
such a missed opportunity to have Kat Dennings enter the hex and then not be a sitcom character?
and just be like two broke girls
She did
kind
like
of
one talking head. Yeah, she should have walked in a waitress outfit.
Oh man, but I think overall, I think where they do nail it is with the principal characters, and I think that is something we should be satisfied with, because they were never gonna like fuck around with that. And obviously, they're so compelling. Both of them are so good, dude. They're such good actors, man. It's nuts. Like, we didn't deserve this on television, like, you know what I mean? Like, but it was great. I'm glad we got it, and yeah, looking forward to Justice League.
What?
The Snyder.
I thought you were talking in the window.
I'm kidding. We're not. We're looking forward
Is that
to.
the one with Tom and Jerry in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah,
fact,
I know.
Ruchi and I, we were supposed to do this today. So we're making a drinking game bingo card for Justice League, the Snyder Cut. So if you guys are interested, whoever's watching, we'll watch this later on.
Have fun then.
This is the way to watch 4 hours of Justice League. We're gonna make a drinking game, a card, and then we're gonna put it up on our Instagram. So let us know if you're gonna use it, and that will be good.
I will be using it.
And then of course there's this show called The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is coming up. But yeah, whatever. Justice League. That's what we're doing this week. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Ruchi, Jishnu, Dinkar. We will see you guys next week with more from the Nerditorium Live. Don't forget to follow us on Discord. Our Discord link is in the thing. We've got lots of like stuff, videos we put up on YouTube. Follow everybody on the Instagrams, and at Geek Fruit HQ everywhere else. Cool. See you later, you nerds.